How are we going, everyone? Well, it is fruit tree pruning season. If you haven't done your pruning, now is the time to do it if you want to see growth. And if you wanted to see flowers and fruit, you needed to do it in summer, predominantly on the older trees. This is a 4-year-old, I think 4.5-year-old tree that we're looking at, an apple. Now I'm going to show you a couple of quick tips that we are demonstrating through our workshops on the fruit tree pruning and grafting workshops that we're holding. So we've got 2 ways we can prune this. Well, start that again. We've got 4 ways. We've got summer prunes and autumn winter prunes, if you like, and then we also have prune to create growth and prune to create flowers and spurs, that is. So the first one is doing an undercut. This is my mate Craig, who's been showing me this for the last how many years, and I've been practicing to success with it. And what I mean by that is, now you can see here, for example, let's start here. This is a little fruiting spur. And what we want to do is create lots of these along the main structural branch, which is basically where it's attached to, this long thing here. So it goes all the way up to there. Now, if we don't prune this branch, this will keep growing. The apex on top there has got that special enzyme which will cause it, when it comes into leaf, to keep growing straight up. And if you don't take it off, it will keep growing. But I've taken it off. And now what that's doing is pushing down a special little I suppose enzyme, if you want to call it that, which will force this to become the next growing leaf bud there. So you're going to get growth from this here because we've cut it, and technically we should be cutting it on a slight angle, same angle as the bud. So that is to create growth. Now, to create fruit, like we just saw with that fruiting spur there, what we've got to do, and let's just do a little demonstration here. See that bud there and that one down there? Well, we're going for an outward facing bud from the center of the plant. Now, if I want to activate that bud so that it actually flowers rather than leaves and grows, we do an undercut on the top bud. And the undercut's done at a horizontal way, not on an angle like that, but rather horizontal. So we do an undercut like that. That will cause some dieback, a little bit of that, but that will also push all those wonderful nutrients that the plant uses to trigger this into flowering because of that slight dieback that we have. Now, that's a nice clean cut like that. You can go a little bit closer, but not too much closer than that. You want to activate that so that it flowers. If you get too close, it'll treat it, and if you cut it like this, for example, that'll end up growing into a branch. So going around the plant, what we need to do is create an open vase shape, being an apple, and reduce some of those upward growths in the middle and turn them into fruiting spurs. Come along, have a look at this. This is beautiful. Now, this is growing exactly in the wrong direction, as we said, but what we have here are little buds that are activating to flower for us and possibly fruit. So we're just going to keep working with those. I'm just going to do a little undercut like that there to create that to happen, and you do that along all inside. So what we do down here, see this little one, very insignificant, as well as this one here. What we're going to do is count up to 3-4 buds, maximum 5, and cut it, do an undercut, and leave that as it is to hopefully flower and fruit. Now, it's a bit of a cheat because ultimately this will disappear if it doesn't work, because it's not 100% perfect, folks, because everything's living and everything has its own, natural life cycle and nutrients that it takes up, and all those elements are factored into it. But we do that and give it a go, and if it doesn't work, we just remove it completely. So I've done 1, 2, we're going to just go around real quick and do the same thing. I don't want this branch to grow up like that. I'm going to count 3, 4, 5 buds. I'm just using my fingers to feel, doing an undercut like that and leaving it there. Looks a little bit ugly. Some of you may not like the view of it, so you may just get rid of it. And again here, little undercuts, short. This is not too bad. We may want this to grow out, but we've got it here. I'd like to see maybe some of this growing out. So see this little branch? I think that's a little bit better, even though it's a smaller branch, to cause it to grow out further. So I'm going to do the right angle cut. The right angle, meaning angle matching the bud. So when we say angle, it matches the same direction as the bud. So I'm doing that to cause more growth there. And this one here, well, I'm going to cut that back down as an undercut and cause that to try and flower for myself. And I'm going to do the same thing all the way along. Just trim it back and get it to the shape that I want it to be. Now, if you're working on branches that are growing outwards and you're happy in that direction and you want it to multiply, because with every cut you tend to activate the last 2 buds, top one and the second top one there. Pretend that's gone, that one there will activate, that one there will activate, and eventually they'll multiply in 2. So when you want to create that environment along a new branch or a branch that's a bit too long, I work about 30 to 40 centimetres from where it originates. So about that length, just eyeball it, find an outward facing bud close to it, There's one up there that's perfect. Slight cut and we've done the job. Now here's an example from last year that we did. We did a cut at the top there. We didn't activate it to grow, but it's actually swelling out to become a flowering spur. And we've got the same thing going on here. So that's growing out and it's actually going to fruit for us. We'll cut that off like that. But you can see what's happened from the last cut we've done. We've got 1, 2 growing, 3, 4. These all came up after the prune that we've done. So again, that's going in the wrong direction, but we've got some good little spurs. They're not quite ready to fruit for us this year. Maybe that one there. What I'm inclined to do is just take it off completely here. Don't need that. And we'll just cut that back down like that. So we're looking for structural integrity, a nice strong branch growing in the right direction, and off that we've got all our fruiting spurs developing. That's as simple as it gets. You want to learn more about it? Well, book yourself into our workshop classes and knock yourself out, because you're going to learn a hell of a lot. And you're going to go home with excitement about pruning your trees correctly. And it's not just for fruiting trees. You can practice your pruning techniques that you're going to learn here for non-edibles as well, so you can get the right shape and understand with every prune what are the consequences and what are the results that you get from it. And ultimately what we want to do is open vase shape. These look a little bit ugly like that, but I'm going to keep them to see if they activate, because I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of apples here and a couple of apples there. We'll just keep doing undercuts like this, triggering it. This one's going to grow out further for us, so we're going to do the angle cut there, so we trigger the growth out of there, and we do the same here. You can see we did a cut there, but it only pushed out one, but we've forced these here to become fruiting spurs. So they will mature eventually and become beautiful fruiting little branches for us, and we cut that down. And what I'm sharing with you is only a smidget of what you're going to learn on the day when it comes to the workshops. So let's talk about height, the pruning technique, the type of tools you use, the way you prune it, and obviously the shaping, because apples and pears are different to plums, and nectarines and peaches again are different, as are apricots. So every plant has its slightly different technique. And the main reason is because most of these plants have come from different parts of the world, different continents, where we get a lot of cold weather, or they do, snow to the point where the plants actually physically go dormant. These here are about 80% dormant, so they're never really 100% asleep, especially if you have a mild winter. So this year it's been not too bad with the winter. It's been cold enough to knock them out a little bit, but you can see the other one there, the apple in the background, it's already holding leaves. Well, it's actually never dropped all its leaves, and look, it's already pushing out new growth. So that's going to have a lot of fruit, but we've got a few long leaders on that one there we need to prune back down as well. Crossover. This is a crossover again. We don't want that happening. This was cut back. Now, I don't know if I cut it back, but that's cut back at the wrong angle because the bud's down there. It's died off. So I dare say it was one of our attendees who had a go at it. Nevertheless, we're just going to cut that off completely. And this one here, I'm going to do another undercut for now, just for fun, only because I want to see if it fruits. And if it doesn't, we're going to have to get rid of it completely, because that is overlapping. So imagine these thickening up and becoming a thick branch like these are. They're going to rub and they're going to hurt each other. It doesn't hurt to leave them on for now. Sometimes these are a little bit long, so when you go back to revisit the tree, have a look at what you've done. And sometimes, you know, you need a second opinion or a second viewing at it to understand whether you've cut it enough or not enough, or the wrong way or the correct way. And that way you can celebrate or start again. And remember, trees are very forgiving. They will react accordingly to your pruning, and they will bounce back if you cut a little bit too much off them, which is not what we want to be doing all the time. But if we need to reshape a tree completely, we need to do a hard prune sometimes and get rid of suckers. Now, I'm going to try and get some fruit to grow on here, down here below. So I'm not going to get rid of the sucker completely. I'm just going to trim it down like this. Done an undercut. I'm going to do another undercut here, and another one over here. And, you know, in anybody else's view, you can get rid of them completely if you like. For me, it's to trial and error to see what succeeds, what doesn't work. And at the end of the day, we get an extra couple of fruit on our plant. We've done well. I'm just going to cut this back a little bit more. It's a bit too long. I don't like them too long. So opening it up, not too bad. There's a few here that I've still got to work on, and bring them right down. And remember, look, too many branches when they're young looks okay, but when they thicken up, it's not okay. So this little branch here has to be a fruit-bearing little spur, or a secondary structural integrity branch, which means we get fruit off here, so which means we've got to cut these back and cause them to flower and fruit properly. So we'll cut it to there. We've got an undercut there. That's going to die back, hopefully. We'll cut a little bit short. It doesn't have to be longer than 2 centimetres. There we go. And we do the same there. So we get a cluster of fruit here, maybe too many. We may have to thin them out as they grow. And pretty close to doing it all. Still looking around. Wait, we've got plenty here. So all these have to come down. This is going to grow out. 30 centimetres long, same angle. Done. There you are. Real time. Still got a couple of branches over here. At the end of the day, folks, if you want to learn more about it, you know what we've got going on. We've got our workshops. There's a few seats still available till the end of the month. And our labelled bags are out. And our outlets still have some clean skin bags. So if you want to go down to the stores this weekend, to Dandenong, Berwick, Kilo, our store there, and Red Hill is opening up the following weekend. They're going to go live, so you can be able to order online and pick it up the following weekend. Check it out on our website. Take advantage of the great specials that we run every day. From me, Vasily, Maresi.